Hi there and welcome to this tutorial where we are going to draw a very typical Dutch scenery, and it's the windmill, and I come from the Netherlands, and the Netherlands are called this way because it's real flat and it's below sea level. And well, in the Netherlands we had the windmills to keep our land dry and to make well, stuff for bread and things. And we have some some mills, well, they were restored and we keep them neat and tidy. And they are also lovely, of course, to draw. Now what I'm using here is the Ami newsprint paper, and I'm drawing the body of the mill. And as you can see, this is divided, it's not all rounded, it's a little bit dish-shaped and it's divided into parts. And the sides of the mill are of reed. And on my Patreon page you can see the actual real-time tutorial. This drawing only took me 3/4 of an hour, 45 minutes, but it's an actual beauty to see and it's very much fun to draw. So should you want to view this in real time, you can see that on my Patreon page, of course, and you can support me there if you like what I'm doing. Now this mill is standing on the side of a river, and we have lots of those too, also canals, channels and rivers, and the mills are on the side oftentimes of the water. And this one is an actual windmill, so it's well, it's the wind that makes the wings rotate, the wings of the mill. And there's water here, there's also a shadow in the water. And I simply keep my pencil really flat to the paper so I can sketch very quickly indeed. And for the reed, I simply use the charcoal pencil upwards. There are some plumes on the tops of the reed, and that same reed is used for the sides of the mill. Very lovely. Now the light is coming from the right side, so the left side of the mill is covered in shadow. And for the shadow part I also use that charcoal pencil really flat to the paper, and there's also a shadow casted on the ground on the left side of the mill, and this instantly brings us a lot of feel of 3D. So that's very nice to do, and it's a real sketchy way of drawing. But because I'm sketching well, rather quickly, it also makes it a very lively and sparkly drawing. Now once I have the body of the mill in, and about where the reed is going to be and where the water is going to be, then I put a gray value in the sky. And again I'm using my charcoal pencil, it's a Wolf's Carbon 6B. I use it really flat on the paper, so very quickly I can cover the whole area of the sky. And I put a little bit extra shadow on top of the water, It's the reflection of the mill into the water. And this also brings a lot of feel of 3D. And I first want to be happy with the sky itself before putting in the wings of the mill. And here way in the back there's also a border of reed and the beautiful shadow. And once I'm happy with where I've placed the charcoal pigments, I use a brush and then I push in the pigments, and I use a kneaded eraser to put in a little bit of clouds way in the back to make the sky a little bit more dynamic than in the reference picture. And I use the pencil eraser to put in the highlights. So I can highlight the side of the wall of the mill and the little fence here on the side of the river bench, and there's also a little tiny wall there. And I also use it for the reed in the front. And you can see the number 1740 on the lower part of the drawing. That's because this mill was built in 1740. So it's an old one, but it's beautifully restored. And we have a lot of mills still in the Netherlands. In the forefront here, I put in extra contrast. And you can see me holding my pencil straight. So I can put in a little bit of grass and the reeds. And by putting in that dark contrast in the front, there's also a bigger feel of 3D. And I also use the pencil eraser to get some highlights on top of the water. And once I'm happy with the water, I can finish the reeds that are in the front. Now it's time for the wings of the mill. And I start out with simply putting in the first line. It's a straight line for the highest and the lowest part of the wings of the mill. And I paid close attention in how the little woods, the tiny woods, are placed on those wings. And the lower wing is in the shadow, of course. So I use again the pencil eraser to lighten up the little tiny wood parts of those wings. And there's also a string of rope over that, because there are flaps of fabric that they can put out when the wind is low, and then those wings can catch a lot of wind after all. But these flaps are now tied, and then it's time for the highest wing. It's all the same. There are 4 wings, not much to say, but the main important thing is that you only place in those wings after you finished your sky part. Otherwise you would be drawing in the sky in between those wings, and that would look very awkward. So this is all. I simply put in verticals and horizontal lines. You can see it here very clearly. And that's all there is to do about those wings. I darken it up. Slowly I'm building up the values in layers. And if I think that those wings are a little bit too dark, then you can just lighten them up with the pencil eraser again. So I did that for all 4 wings, and you can see it now, what the result can be. It's very lively, and there's a second mill here, way in the back. So I draw that one in too. I draw it in a little bit bigger than in the reference picture, so you can actually see a second wing going on. And this is the reed on the mill itself, and the little bar of wood there in the wall, and a little bit more detail. So now that my drawing is as good as finished, I simply put in a little bit of extra detail. And, well, it's very Dutch, and I loved drawing this. It's a very quick sketch, but it's so much fun to do. And just with a simple charcoal pencil, you can do amazing drawings on just simple newsprint paper, which is very cheap. And I'll put a little sideline here on it so you can see this is about the mill, the area, the mill from 1740, which is standing here in our Dutch landscape. Great way of drawing. I hope you will give this a try, and maybe you want to see the whole process of this and you want to draw along with me one-on-one, then you can find me again on my Patreon page, of course. So thank you for watching, and I will see you again in another tutorial.